Morning, everybody. Welcome to week 7, Answers by Guess. I'm Guess, Nick, and here you see Rob. Rob, we asked questions today. It's pretty cool. I have a bunch of questions that have been asked. I joined a couple chat sites and been getting some good hits on that from people asking me questions. So I got a couple of direct questions from them today. So I'll answer that as well as anything that Rob's got. Go ahead, bud.
All right, sounds good, man. Yeah, guys, welcome. Week 7, Answers by Guess. All right, we're going to jump right in. First game we got, let's go with Tampa Bay at Buffalo. Tampa Bay, man, Winston's going to be playing. Hopefully he does a little something here for us. Definitely hurt his shoulder last week, so let's see if that affects him. Actually, Fitzpatrick came in, didn't look too bad, threw a couple touchdowns. Buffalo coming off the bye week. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I actually picked up Fitz in a Superflex Dynasty League I have because I didn't think that Winston was going to go this week. With Winston going in that banged up shoulder, it worries me a little bit because I do have Mike Evans in at least one league. Not too big of a league, not too important. But I think he'll be okay today. He's going to have to be more of a possession guy. So, if you've been listening to the show, Adam Humphries is a guy that I absolutely despise, and I don't know why they continue to use him instead of using a guy like Chris Godwin. I really liked Godwin in college. I could see Adam Humphries actually having a really big day today, upwards of 6 to 8 catches. At least around 80 yards. Braid will probably come down with a touchdown. He seems to do that every single week. Yeah. So temper expectations a little bit on Mike Evans. Temper them big time on Deshaun because if Jameis can't really throw, I don't know how he's going to throw that deep ball. The only hope you're going to have is if he does a couple of those little crossers over the middle to Deshaun. He's gotten away with a couple of those the past couple of weeks. Dougie, I need Dougie to have a big day playing against you, Rob. I know you don't want to see him shine, but I'm hoping that they can jump out to a lead and really use him because the thing that sucks right now about Dougie is they're not using him on third downs. If they get down, he's barely in the game. Yeah. It seems to be Sims out there all the damn time, and it's driving me crazy. So I'm a little worried about him today. But if you have him and, he is your RB2 and 3 and 4 don't look that great, I almost did consider playing Marlon Mack over Doug Martin. There's still time for that, so watch out.
Look at that. My man Mack going to use him against me.
Yeah, I don't know. That'll be a game time decision on my part, but I'll probably end up riding with Dougie and just hope that, they give him more burn. This is only his third game back. He's done a little more last week than he did the week before, even with, being down big. So as far as Buffalo goes, I hear a lot of people out there saying Buffalo is going to win and control this game. I do like Buffalo to win just because they're at home and they play so good when they're at home.
That's true.
But I reconsider my thoughts on that because I have no idea where their offense is going to come from. I expect a huge day from Shady. He's been getting 6+ catches, it seems, every single week. I wouldn't be surprised if he got 10 today. You might see a Zay Jones sighting.
Okay.
I know Jordan Matthews is supposed to be there, but everybody's just waiting for Zay Jones to really break out. He's been dropped probably almost everywhere, aside from maybe some 14 or 16 team leagues or some really deep dynasty teams. But Zay Jones, if you need a flyer, why obviously do worse today. So I'd be interested to see if Zay Jones does something. He'll be my sleeper in this game. But, everybody seems to think the Tampa Bay defense is absolutely terrible. I don't really
I don't get that either, man. I totally agree with you when it comes to that. Somebody that's actually been picked up, just to kind of chime in real quick, Nick O'Leary. He's been showing up on places, obviously, with Clay being out. It's so funny that, I've seen him being picked up everywhere. And a couple people, actually, that I've talked to are going to use him.
Yeah, me too. Just looking at him, he's just such an ugly player. He doesn't look like an athlete, right? He doesn't look. Right. He looks like somebody that should be like, I don't know, paving the road or something.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, I definitely see the same thing. Where's that offense coming from? I don't think Jordan Matthews is playing, man. To be
No.
honest with you, yeah, he's listed as questionable. So
Yeah, I actually the last I saw he was questionable, but he was looking like he was going to go.
okay,
But in all honesty, I haven't been too concerned because I don't know. I don't like Tyrod.
gotcha.
I don't see how Buffalo's going to win this game. But for some reason, I feel like they're going to. So this is a really weird one.
Okay.
Aside from Doug Martin, and if I had to, Adam Humphries or maybe Zay Jones, and of course Shady. This is a game that I have no idea how this game's going to go. This is a terrible game for you to start me off on the show with.
Yeah, sorry about that. You know what? It was just the first one that came up in the pecking order here. So, all right, let's move on to the next game, man. We got Carolina at Chicago. Carolina coming off of a loss last week on a Thursday night game in Philly. Chicago, overtime thriller with Baltimore there. Let's talk about as far as what you're thinking, maybe some running backs here in this game. And what do you think as far as some maybe a sleeper?
Yeah, I got your shocker special of the week right here. Tanner Gentry.
Ooh.
Tanner Gentry for Chicago. Got his first start last week. They play him on the outside. You would think by hearing his name even and looking at him that he was 5'11" or even 6 foot at most, like a Cole Beasley type guy. This dude is 6'2". He's got some size. He killed it last year at Wyoming. If I had a chance to look at his highlight tape, I only saw him play a couple times last year when I was putting in a wager here and there on the team. But I had a chance to look at his highlights earlier in the week because I was in need of a wide receiver in a dynasty league. I think today is the day because last week you had Mitchell Trubisky throw it 16 times, something like that. You're not going to beat Carolina even at home doing that. Now, Carolina, obviously having to go into Chicago, I said it, I think last week, Chicago's a tough place to play. When they were going against Minnesota, I completely overlooked that when I was thinking that Minnesota was just going to run right through them. Yeah. It is a tough place to play. They're so much better at home. They need some wide receiver help. Kendall Wright's only playing 25 to 30 snaps, which is like a third of the snaps, if not a quarter of the snaps, which is good because he's old man Kendall. So he's going to be their slot guy. Luke Kuechly out, so going over the middle. But I also tend to think that they're going to take a couple deep shots to Tanner Gentry, and I think that he's going to slide over the middle a few times and do a few crossing routes from the outside. I really like him today so much that I actually played DFS for my first time this season, and I loaded my lineup and got all the way down to the flex spot, and I had $3,000 left, and I saw that he was only $3,000 because nobody's probably playing him, and I threw him in there. I could see him having a big day, catching a deep touchdown. He's fast, he's big, and they're going to have to put points on the board because even though Calvin is banged up, Funchess is coming on. Your boy Easy Ed Dixon. I hope he throws up a goose egg today.
No goose eggs.
But Cam Newton's he's come back alive. He's pulling off the Superman, rushing the ball, scoring touchdowns. I would run Cam out there today, and then Christian McCaffrey. I'd sit Stewart. I mean, Stewart's getting phased out of this offense.
Yeah, I think Stewart ended with negative points in a lot of leagues last week.
Yeah.
So, all right, definitely understand where you're coming from, man. As far as, do you think Justin Howard doing anything?
Jordan Howard.
Jordan Howard.
Jordan Howard's going to do something, mostly because the front seven is going to be banged up for Carolina, and also because Chicago wants to run first, pass second. Yeah. But I think what's going to happen is their game plan is going to switch a little bit this week. They're going to try and surprise Carolina a little bit at home. The fans really love Gentry, so I think they're going to want to try and get him involved. You're definitely not going to see 16 passes out of Trubisky, but I wouldn't play Trubisky, even though I'm expecting a really nice game out of Gentry. But I would play somebody else I'm going to talk about at the quarterback position if I'm in a pinch. But as far as Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen, I think you could see having a good game today with, coming right out over into the linebacker spot. I mean, I got the Panthers defense going against you. It's a really nice matchup. But without Luke Kuechly, they're just not the same team. So I think Chicago's going to put up points here. I think you're going to see a surprisingly high-scoring game in this one. Points abound.
Interesting. All right. Let's move on to the next one, man. Tennessee at Cleveland. On Cleveland, I mean, we'll talk about them, obviously. But Tennessee's an interesting one. Mariota comes back last week. It looked okay in the second half. A little bit of a rough first half. DeMarco Murray questionable. Looks like Derrick Henry's getting a lot of the burn from what it was saying online here. What are you thinking as far as that run game over there in Tennessee? And let's talk about Cleveland, I guess.
Yeah, I made a mistake last week. Suffered my first loss in our most important league, playing frickin' Ricardo Lewis all week long. I said Dante Moncrief's going to have a big game, Monday Night Magic. If I would have just played Moncrief instead of Ricardo Lewis, I'd be 6-0. But instead of 5-1, I would not touch a single Cleveland Brown unless it was Duke Johnson. Anybody else I'm not touching. I like both their tight ends, but they can't do anything when both of them are doing something,
Yeah, I got you.
Tennessee, and this is another one that I see a lot of people saying, be careful because Cleveland's going to play them tough, might even get the first win. I don't think so. I mean, Tennessee, they're probably going to hold out Murray. I saw Walker's a little banged up. They might just play some backups because in their mind, they're thinking, well, we got to bye next week. And this is the Cleveland Browns we're playing against. So what's the point of pushing our guys and putting them out there? So I can see Eric Decker, Rashard Matthews having a game. They're holding out Corey Davis again. Taywan Taylor, he's basically your deep threat. But are they going to have to go deep? This is another one where I kind of like, unless I'm playing Henry. I don't really know, and that's only if DeMarco sits. I don't really know if I want to really get into this game because I feel like the Browns are going to be playing catch-up, and who in the world are you going to play on the Browns other than maybe Duke?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, man. We can move on to the next one. I'm good there. Just want to say a quick thing. Decker, I think, would be a fair start here, like you said, with Delaney Walker, calf injury, and especially if DeMarco doesn't play, I can see him kind of being a little sleeper there.
Yeah, you got Jonnu Smith, too. I mean, if they sit Walker, you and I talked about Jonnu earlier in the year. Yep. He's a lot like Delaney Walker was early in his career. Delaney Walker was in San Francisco, and they had Vernon Davis. And every once in a while, Delaney Walker would come into the game and show his speed, show his abilities, and people were like, who is this guy? And he ended up, not liking the backup role anymore, so he went on to Tennessee, and the rest is history. So, I mean, you got the same sort of thing happening with Jonnu Smith here, except this time Delaney Walker's the old man who can't stay on the field. So, I mean, if you're in a pinch at tight end, maybe. But again, I mean, how often is Tennessee going to have to throw? Cleveland does suck against the tight end, but I really see them. They're a run-first team to begin with. I really see them pounding the ball, even if Murray does play over 30 times today.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, if Delaney doesn't play, I guess Smith would be a better pickup than O'Leary. All right, let's go on to the next game.
Maybe not, though, because who else does Buffalo have to throw to? I mean, Tyrod's favorite weapon was who?
Was Clay. Yeah, you're right. No, yeah.
I mean, he loves his tight ends.
Yeah.
That's a toss-up.
I got you. All right, cool, man. Let's go. Next game on my list is New Orleans at Green Bay. I mean, A-Rod, get healthy. You see him actually in the back of your screen there. I see him in the back. So, Yeah, man, unreal. Him going down last week. Let's talk about, obviously Hundley as far as what you think he's going to do. I know you mentioned it as far as post earlier in the week. And then New Orleans looked like a strong team, man. Put up a lot of points. Mark Ingram, I mean, Drew Brees didn't really throw that many touchdowns, to be honest with you. It was a kind of high offensive game, a lot of defense. But let's talk about what you're thinking here.
Yeah. So earlier when I was saying about Trubisky, the other quarterback, I'd play Hundley, man. I think I was a big fan of his at UCLA. I remember watching the draft 3 years ago, and he was falling, and Green Bay finally took him, and I absolutely loved the pick. And then this offseason, they were kind of shopping him around. I don't know if it was them shopping him or teams inquiring about him. This guy's got skill, man. He was, his junior year, being touted as possibly being the number one pick in the draft. Wow. And then he came back in his senior year. He didn't have as good of a season, and his team was terrible, and he sort of fell off everybody's boards. So this guy's got talent. If he would have went number one his junior year, he'd be starting in the league right now because he would be on a team like the Browns or the Niners or somebody like that. He came into the game last week. I've been saying this all week long on the websites and on posts. He came in the game last week in Minnesota. Game plan was not designed for him. Tough place to play. He's used to holding the clipboard. That's a tough scenario. Aaron Rodgers always struggles in Minnesota, so people are writing off Hundley. But if you have Hundley and somebody who, if you got like Stafford on a bye or Deshaun Watson on a bye this week, or you have somebody that you're not 100% enamored with, like a Simeon, or even an Eli or a Rivers, like I'm playing Hundley over those guys.
Wow.
I just think he's going to have a great game today. Now, here's an interesting thing I found out this morning as well. It's going to be heavy to pouring rain pretty much all day long in Green Bay.
Oh, wow.
It may not be ridiculous, but it's going to be wet. And one thing I know about Drew Brees is he does not play well outside. And anybody who does not play well outside, I would venture to bet that they also do not play well in the elements. So if it is raining out there, I lean even more heavily towards saying that Green Bay is going to win this game. I've been thinking that all week long. People are writing them off. They still have one of the best arsenal of weapons in this entire league. Yeah. They're at home. Their defense sucks, but their defense will rise up today because they're playing with a backup quarterback. I love Hundley today. I've been trying to buy Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb in as many places as I can. Both the running backs, Ty and Aaron Jones. I don't know how it's going to go. I think Aaron Jones is going to take over, and Ty is going to be more of that wide receiver 4 type. That maybe he's on the field at the same exact time. A player in this game who I've hated, I didn't want. I would have rather had Jared Cook, but Martellus Bennett. With the rain today, with a first-time start out of a quarterback, I could see if he can catch the ball. This is a big, huge if. Capital I, capital F. If he can catch it and hold on to it, I think Bennett could have a really good game today. Okay. We're talking about tight ends before with your guy, Dixon, O'Leary, Jonnu Smith, these type of backup guys that are coming in, possibly coming in. Martellus Bennett's probably on waivers. If you're in that type of tight end pinch, I would pick him up because I think he could have a game today, especially with the rain, the short little passes, things like that. So I would not shy away from my Packers today. If I'm wrong, I hope people, give me a bunch of crap about it, but I think they're going to win today. I really need, a big day out of Michael Thomas. Hopefully he gets it, but I don't like Breeze in the rain. So this will be interesting today to see how this all turns out. Now, the one thing about rain that a lot of times people have a misconception about is that rain means a game's going to go under. That's not true. Rain usually means a lot of offensive touchdowns because the wide receivers know where they're going. the defensive players don't know where they're going.
Yeah,
so if they're making cuts, stop and goes, post patterns, the receivers have the edge there. So the difference here will be, how does Drew Brees deal with the rain? I mean, it's not like he's never played in the rain before, but I think you're going to see a riled up crowd in Green Bay, a pumped up defense playing behind their backup. I think it's going to be tough going for Brees. Would I sit my Saints? Probably not. Okay. Just because it's the Swiss cheese defense, but I would certainly play all of my Packers today.
All right, very nice, man. Interesting. Yeah. I was a little unsure as far as I didn't realize the weather there. I got Brees starting in the league, so hopefully he does throw a couple touchdown passes. You're right as far as the defense being on their heels.
Remember too, he's got Kamara, so I mean he's going to come out of the backfield. Ingram can catch passes too. Kobe Fleener, he's on a milk carton somewhere. I need Michael Thomas to have a big week. I think Michael Thomas gets a touchdown this week. I mean, he didn't speak up. He doesn't seem to be a diva. He didn't complain about last week. Yeah, they scored a lot of points, but that was a little fluky. I mean, they had 2 or 3 touchdowns that were intercepted right in the end zone, things like that. I mean, or fumbled in the end zone. So they scored a lot of points, but they didn't really have too much offense. He's not a squeaky wheel, so will he get the oil? I don't know. I hope so. But can the Green Bay corners even keep up with him? I don't think so. So just like I was saying before, if he runs, some type of play where he can get the upper edge on the Green Bay corners, I think he wins it. The one thing I'd worry about, my buddy BC mentioned this earlier, is Brees. He's got small hands. It's hard to hold on to a wet football with small hands.
Gotcha. Yeah, good point, man. All right, let's see what happens. All right, let's move on to the next game, man. Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Jacksonville's a good team, man. I mean, their defense plays well. Their offense, Fournette not going this week. Where's that going to be coming from? But, even a defensive team against the Colts, Ramsey up against Hilton, I don't see a lot of offense in this game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. Fournette out. Most likely 100%, right? Yep. So you're going to dial up Ivory against this Colts defense.
Yep.
Marquise Lee's been a little banged up. He's probably going to play, though. So you want to try him out there because I actually think they're going to have to use Bortles' arm a little bit more this week.
They've been relying a lot on Fournette, man.
Yeah, and Hearns as well. I mean, I would feel safe with those 3 guys, Ivory, Lee, and Hearns for Jacksonville. Because Jacksonville, they're like a team. It's kind of weird. They don't know quite how to handle success. They had a really good, I think, week 5. And then they came out in week 6 and kind of got, ramshackled, if you will, pardon the pun. And now they're on the road, and I don't know how they're going to do in this one. I mean, every single week, Indy is getting better. I absolutely hate Pagano. He's gone after this year. Everybody knows that. I mean, he's too about his job, Brissett's doing better each and every week. Now that he also knows that Luck's probably not coming back, how will that affect him? Will that light a fire even more because he knows that now he could have a really big payday coming next year?
Yeah.
Or does he kind of relax a little bit and say, hey, man, this is my job. I don't have anything to worry about now. I don't have to show off. And so I don't know. Moncrief's been coming on, like I mentioned earlier in the show. Should have played him last week. That was stupid by me. I didn't go with my gut. T.Y. was talking about squeaky wheels. He's getting a little bit squeaky. The team's getting squeaky about him, too. I mentioned I played a DFS. I kind of wanted to throw T.Y. in there, but it was a little too risky because of Ramsey. But if the Jacksonville offense can do something with Bortles, and I do think Bortles probably plays pretty well today, especially if he's going to be throwing the ball probably 10 to 15 times more than he normally does. Mm-hmm. I think he'll surprise. He usually plays pretty well against the Colts. So if they can put up points and Ivory can fill in admirably for Fournette, I think T.Y. could get loose today. I'd feel safe about playing him. I'd play Moncrief in a pinch. If you need your car tires changed or an oil change, I hear this on the radio all the time, call Jack Doyle. So dial him up there if you're in a tight end pinch. We've been talking about tight ends like crazy today. Jacksonville, if there's one thing they're a little soft on, it's tight end. Brissett loves Jack Doyle. Marlon Mack, talked about him before. He's risky, but he is super high reward. I say minimal risk, super high reward. So if you got to play an RB2 and you're not really sure who to do, I run Mack out there. I would not play Gore. I'm so sick of Gore. I loved him back in the day. He won me my first fantasy football championship. Frank Gore and Tony Romo. Tony Romo came out of nowhere. I drafted Frank Gore, number 3 overall. People told me I was crazy. He had a huge year. But, God, that was 12 years ago. I mean, it's time for him to just pass the reins off. No Robert Turbin. Give it to Marlon Mack. They did bring Ferguson back.
That's right, yeah.
I heard rumors about Christian Michael is practicing again. Like, what? I thought his leg shattered.
Yeah.
I mean, you have so many running backs. Just go with the future, Pagano. Go back.
Yeah, man. I could definitely understand where you're coming from. But Gore's been consistent,
I actually see this as a high-scoring game.
You see, okay, all right. So you go the opposite on here. One person I want to talk about real quick, just from Jacksonville, just to throw in there, D.D. Westbrook, man, coming off of IR in Week 9, someone to look for.
You keep my eye on him. You keep your eyes off him.
I know it's a little bit of a thrower out there, but guys, they're talking about throwing this kid the ball whenever possible when he comes back. So.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Arizona versus Los Angeles. I mean, Los Angeles Rams is just, they're great. I mean, I honestly think they might have moved to the best team in football, to be honest with you. Gurley's still doing his thing over there. The wide receiving crew, I still can't get a hold of. Kupp seems to be the guy over there now, at least in my opinion. Watkins is just garbage. Let's talk about, what you're thinking as far as wide receivers here. Fitzgerald looked amazing. AP coming back. I mean, what a comeback to have 2 touchdowns. I mean, he put up over 20 points in a lot of leagues. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, interesting. Cooper Kupp, I need to have a big week out of him. The one thing about Arizona, their defense is a little bit overrated. Their secondary is a little bit overrated. And it might be shocking for a lot of you to hear that, but they are. They've been giving up a lot of passing yards, passing scores. Outside of Peterson, who got a little banged up last week, they haven't been playing too well. And a place that they really struggle is covering the slot wide receiver. So I'm hoping Cooper Kupp can have a really big week this week. If you're putting Peterson on Sammy Watkins, plus Sammy Watkins has like 3 catches in like the past 4 weeks, it seems like. And then Robert Woods just keeps hanging around. And you mentioned like Cooper Kupp seems to be the guy, but like it doesn't really feel that way to me. Yeah. The one thing I did notice, and I mentioned this on one of the fantasy football sites that I joined this past week, if you look at Cooper Kupp's stat line, he had a really solid week 1, then 2 kind of crappy weeks. Then he had a really solid week 4, and then 2 really crappy weeks. That means it's time for a really solid week. It's just the way that it was going. So I got to roll Cooper Kupp out there today. I'd probably play Robert Woods if I had to. I had a lot of people asking about Robert Woods. I don't really like him. Like, people are asking, like, Robert Woods or Mohamed Sanu, and I'm like, hit the waiver wire. Please, there's got to be something better out there. But probably Woods will have a pretty good game. Gurley, the one thing I worry about Gurley this game, I mean, I'm not benching him, but this field, I believe, where are they? Are they Tottenham?
Yeah. No, they're in London. This is the London game.
Yeah, but is it the Tottenham?
Yeah, correct. Tottenham Stadium.
Yeah, this field is not good for footing. And it's notorious for that. I mean, anybody that's watched the podcast, the videos here, they know that I conspire to say that the NFL purposely wants these London games to be high scoring because they know the more points, the more interest that it drums up. in the product. Todd Gurley, if the footing is a little better today, he better wear his long cleats, his high cleats, because the field just gets terrible. If you remember one of the games last year, I mean, people were falling all over the place. So hopefully they got that fixed. If they do, Gurley's going to go off today, and Cooper Kupp as well. I mean, a lot of those cuts over the middle, the defenders, just like I was talking about with the wet stadium in Lambeau Field. It's going to be hard to keep up with the cuts and things like that for defenders, especially when you already struggle at defending that position. Yeah. So if Gurley can keep his footing today, he will be solid. Cooper Kupp will be solid. I'd be a little worried about Watkins and Woods, which means they'll probably do awesome. I love Goff. You know, I said Goff in the beginning of the year would be top 12 quarterback. He's right there. I said that he'd be a QB1. He's right there.
Yep.
And as far as Arizona goes, I mean, you nailed it last week. I agreed with you. We knew that AP would be running angry. We knew that they'd feed him because Arians loves to. He went off a little more than even I expected. I'm not sure about you. I didn't know if he'd be that good.
Yeah,
I mean, it was out.
Good. No way.
He just killed it. But the only worry I have with him is how long will this last? You know, he is getting old. I don't want to put anything past him, but, you know, can this type of production last? I mean, the Rams have a great defensive line, so it's going to be a little different today than it was last week, but I would play Peterson if I had it. I'd ride the wave while I could. I'd play him this week. And maybe think about it next week, hope that he has a good week or two, and then I try and trade him as soon as possible. Because not only is David Johnson looming, but so is Father Time. So,
gotcha, man. No, I can understand where you're coming from. I think AP does another, like you just said, London games, they need high scoring. Adrian Peterson, every time there's a doubter, he seems to definitely prove a different point.
The one thing I want to mention, too, it doesn't look like Ellington's going to play. Okay. If Allen doesn't play, you guess when AP plays, third down.
Yeah.
Not getting even more production out of AP. I mean, this could just be nuts today.
Yeah, I can definitely see this being a high-scoring game. Just to kind of chime in real quick, Larry Fitz turning back the hands of time again. I mean, this guy just doesn't stop. Carson Palmer doesn't stop. I mean, that offense that they put up last week was mind-blowing.
Yeah. Outside of Fitz, I don't want anything to do with the Cardinals receivers. Not because they're not good, just because there's too many.
Yeah.
The other three, I mean, who the heck knows who's going to do what? I mean, John Brown seems to be the most consistent.
Yeah,
but is he going to stay healthy? I mean, you put him in your lineup, he's going to get hurt, and J.J. Nelson's going to have a $145 and 2 touchdowns. Put J.J. Nelson in, and the Brown brothers are going to be kicking butts. So.
No, I definitely see where you're coming from. I did pick up John Brown in the league, though, so.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to my Jets at Miami. Miami coming back, tale of two halves. Nothing in the first half last week, and then beat Atlanta. I mean, what a turnaround. Jarvis Landry seeing the ball a lot with Devontae Parker out. I'm not sure the status on Parker. I want to say he was still questionable as of this morning. Let's talk about the wide receiver crew over there, and then my Jets. I mean, you got three running backs that are playing, that have the potential of playing this week. Let's see what you're thinking there, and as far as any receivers worth starting in New York.
Aside from Austin Seferian-Jenkins, I don't know if I would play anybody on the Jets.
Okay.
Robbie Anderson, Curse, and Curley, you got to hope that they break one or get a deep one. McCown loves the tight end.
He does.
Think what he did when he had, what was his face for Cleveland there. He's out of the league now.
Yeah.
The tight end. Gary Bardage.
Oh, Barnage. Yeah, good call. Yeah.
Last year or 2 years ago, he killed it out of nowhere, and now he's out of the league. McCown made him. He loves the tight end. So this ASJ production should not be a surprise because McCown loves the tight end.
Yeah.
And then
he should have had a touchdown last week. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but
well, yeah. I'm not a Patriot hater, but that was Patriots. The 3 running backs, I wouldn't touch Forte at all. But I mean, like, who's going to get the production out of the 3 of them? Play ASJ if I needed to. And on the flip side, even if one of those 3 or one of the 3 wide receivers can also do well, I'm going to play the Miami defense. I like the Miami defense today. They're playing a little bit better than people think. I'll continue to say this about Jay Cutler. He's not playing as bad as you think he is. Their wide receivers cannot catch the ball. It happened again last week. No Devontae Parker. You're going to see another 10 to 15 targets if needed. And I say if needed because they could jump out to a pretty substantial lead.
Yeah, Jai had a good game last week.
But I like Jarvis Landry a lot this week. Kenny Stills. I think Carew just sucks. I play Landry. I play the Miami defense. I play Austin Seferian-Jenkins. I think Miami wins this game pretty easily. Miami was high in a lot of people's standings, preseason standings.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna start to get it together a little bit. If the receivers catch the ball, you'll see Cutler start to turn into good Cuddy. If they keep dropping it, that's when he's bad Cuddy and lazy Cuddy and disinterested Cuddy. So a lot's going to depend on that. If there's a lot of drops today, Jets could steal one, but I don't see it happening. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Rob.
No,
but I've been wrong. I've been wrong before, but I think Landry has a heck of a game today.
Yeah, I could see that too, man. I mean, the defense just hasn't looked great in the secondary. I mean, the safeties have, but yeah, I definitely can see that. What about Ajayi? Just throw something quick about Ajayi.
Oh, yeah, I love Ajayi because the Jets' defensive line is going to be absent today. I mean, all the guys are gone or sitting today.
Yeah.
They traded them away or they're injured. So I love Ajayi today. Forgot to even mention him because I love him so much.
No, he's a must-play, so why even question it, right?
Yeah, he's just a given. If you have him today, you're going to play him because, like I said, I think they're going to be able to salt away a lead. I think they figured out last week, too, Miami, that Ajayi needs the ball. You know, they kind of wanted to, like, scale back his things. That's what they were saying, his carries in, like, week 2. They were like, we can't run Ajayi that much. And, how did that turn out weeks like week 3 and week 4 after they had their week 1 bye?
Yeah.
It didn't work out very well. And then last week, the first half, they didn't play that well, like you said. In the second half, they played a lot better, and they were running. And it's tale of 2 halves as well for the Jets. The first half, they played really well.
Amazing, yeah.
The second half, they didn't. So I think that exact momentum for both teams carries over today, and I think you're going to want to have your Dolphins out there. Kenny Stills, if you absolutely need a wide receiver 3.
All right, cool, man. Let's move on to the next one. Baltimore at Minnesota. Some very interesting news. Bridgewater practicing, man, especially with Keenum. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's been looking okay, but he's not your big quarterback. He can't throw the ball deep, it seems like. I mean, Diggs out again today, so let's see. Hopefully there's an uptick in Thielen. Baltimore last week, like I mentioned before, losing to Chicago in overtime. What are you thinking as far as, is there any receivers worth starting even in Baltimore? I know that Watson is questionable today. Do you maybe a Buck Allen touchdown if as far as that? And let's talk about Minnesota, what you're thinking, I guess, overall.
Yeah, call me crazy, but I showed you a couple trades I made in one of my dynasty leagues, and I actually ended up making another one that night. I traded Marquise Lee because I didn't know Fournette was going to be out, and Marquise Lee's great, but he's had a lot of trouble staying healthy. Got rid of him, plus they don't want Bortles to throw much, even though they'll probably get another quarterback next year and they'll screw me. But anyways, him, Jeremy Maclin, and Mike Wallace for Nelson Aguilar.
Wow.
That's it. Because I think Torrey Smith, we'll talk about this game, but I think Torrey Smith his time is going to be very short. Mm-hmm. It's this year, and then that's it. for Philly. Unless they keep him on the outside, Aguilar's got a spot in the slot. So I wanted him. We'll talk more about Philly when we get to it, but I didn't want Macklin and Wallace anymore. That was the big thing. I knew I couldn't just do Marquise Lee for Aguilar, so I threw those two in because I just don't want them. I don't want any part of Baltimore. I even dropped in our other Dynasty League that you're in with me, I dropped Justin Tucker and picked up Will Lutz because I'm sick of Baltimore. I'm absolutely sick of them. I had people asking me, I'm looking on the phone in the Facebook group. People ask me about Buck Allen. Should I play him? I'm going to answer their questions after. The only problem I have with Buck Allen is that he's sharing time with Alex Collins, and they really seem to like Alex Collins. Yeah. So it worries me. The good thing about Buck is he can run the ball, so can Alex Collins. Yeah. He can catch the ball, and so can Alex Collins. It's kind of weird. You don't really have a third down back, a workhorse at all. It's tough. I don't want any part of Baltimore. I just don't, especially against Minnesota.
Not even defense, man?
Yes, their defense. Defense, man, yes, 100%. Today especially, because it's going to be Thielen and it's going to be McKinnon. Rudolph, I've just about had it with him.
Yeah, he's had a rough go.
He might have a good day. If you got Thielen like you do, you jerk, you're going to put him out there. A lot of people asking questions, should I play Thielen? Yeah, come on.
Target monster.
Kidding me? Target monster. He's Jordy Nelson, man. you put him out there. I don't want anything to do with Baltimore. And even though I love Thielen today, and McKinnon's been playing great, I mean, this Baltimore defense is for real. For real.
They are, man. They got me 50 points.
It seems like every week when we have a Baltimore game, it's like we are predicting like 9-7. Like, what is up with that? And then last week they surprised, and the Bears was kind of high scoring. Yeah. So
you're right.
You never know. But I don't want anything to do with Baltimore. I'd sell off all the players. This Minnesota defense is tough. I'm kind of giving away the way I'm leaning when people are asking me about Buck Allen. But this game is just going to be an ugly game. If I don't have Thielen or have to play McKinnon or Rudolph because of the tight end situation that we've been talking about all day, I really don't want anything to do with this one.
All right. Sounds good, man.
I don't even want Justin Tucker. Like I said, I don't want him anymore.
He sings great, though, man. I'll tell you that much. I don't know if you've seen that video or not.
He's so accurate. But if he's not getting opportunities, like, what's the point?
No, you're right. You're 100% correct on that, man.
No, I'm thinking about it's freaking raining outside, and I picked up Will Lutz. I need to go back and get Justin Tucker. But the thing I like about Lutz is he's playing. I think his last 10 games to finish off the year. I think 9 of them are indoors. That's why.
Yeah. Moving forward, definitely. But this week, let's see what happens.
I don't need them, though, because I had Amari Cooper, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce, and left Derek Carr on my bench in the Dynasty League. So I don't even need a kicker. You can give me a goose egg there.
All right, sounds good, man. Let's move on to the next game. Dallas at San Francisco. A lot of history, man. I mean, obviously San Francisco 0-6. But they're in every single game, man. I don't know. It's Carlos Hyde looking good last week. I mean, they got production. It's mind-blowing that they haven't won a game. And Dallas coming off a bye week, Zeke issues all over the place. I mean, he is going to play today. How does that change the offense as far as Dak and what he does there? And as far as San Francisco, let's talk about who you're playing.
Yeah, if you watch the week 1 show, I said Dallas would lose. If you watch week 2, I said Dallas would lose. You watched week 3, I said Dallas would lose. I don't remember where I went from there, but I'm starting to think today Dallas is going to lose. Okay. I think San Francisco wins this one.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I think they do it. I think there's enough distraction with the Zeke situation. Mm-hmm. There's enough of a trend that San Francisco is right in these games. Once they woke up and had Beathard going last week against the Redskins, they were a much different team.
They were.
And I think the Redskins are just about as good as the Cowboys. I think their defense is better than the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. They don't have the running back, obviously, but the quarterback is very comparable. So I think San Francisco is going to win this game.
Wow.
How are they going to do it? I have no clue. Hyde or Breida, whichever one gets hot, that's the one Shanahan's going to play. So you're a little bit of a risk there. Mm-hmm. If you got Hyde, you probably draft him in the second or third round, so you probably got to trot him out there. Breida, if you're in a super pinch, like if your guys are Lamar Miller, and I have no idea who you would even have at running back for the Lions. Well, like, if you got to trot him out there, you trot him out there and feel okay about it. Pierre Garçon should go nuts today. Kittle will probably go nuts today at tight end. I'd rather have him over the majority of the guys we've talked about all day, just because I think they get it done today. I think they're going to be pumped up for this game. This is a old-time rivalry.
In San Francisco, too, man.
Yeah, and they're at home. They're so close in every game they play. I think they do it today. I think they stifle Dak just enough. I'm playing against Dez Bryant, and I think they focus on him today. I hope, and I think today's a Beasley day. I think Cole Beasley does well today, and I'm going to make a bold prediction here. After this week, I think Bryce Butler begins to start over Terrence Williams.
Yeah, you know what? I've seen Terrence Williams dropped in a whole bunch of leagues, man. He's sitting out there. I could agree with you on that. I definitely can see where Butler can get some burn because Williams just hasn't been productive.
Right. What you're going to see here is you're going to see San Francisco focus on Dez and Zeke, of course. But I think Zeke will be a little distracted today. I think Beasley's going to catch a ton of balls, 6 or 7 catches today at least. And I think that Bryce Butler is going to have another solid game for like the third or fourth time in a row. And I think the coaching staff is just going to realize that it's time to put him in over Williams. And I think that'll be good for fantasy owners because he's going to be much more productive, especially with defenses shadowing Dez, worrying about Beasley. And if Zeke doesn't get suspended, still focusing on him, I think Bryce Butler is a guy, especially in deep leagues or dynasty leagues, that you probably want to go out and grab like today before the game, before it kicks off.
I hope you're completely wrong about Dez not having a big game because he's projected for a lot for me, man. So,
well, he's not going to get it. They're going to shut him down just because he's going to be their primary focus.
Yeah, I hope their primary focus is Zeke, but we'll move on. All right, let's go. Seattle at the Giants. Giants winning. Nobody expected it except for you. I mean, you did call. You're like, I could see the Giants pulling this off. You jinxed them. You jinxed. It's like, come on, man. I mean, they got some good production out of Darkwa. Ingram, he's a big boy. He plays tight end, but he looks like a number one type receiver out there, especially last week. Seattle coming off a bye. I just got picked up Jimmy Graham, hoping he's going to do well this week. What are you seeing as far as wide receiver production out there? And do you start any running backs for Seattle? I mean,
no.
Okay.
Quick answer, no. I'm not playing Rawls. I'm not playing Rawls. I'm not playing Lacey. Rawls can't stay healthy. I actually think if Rawls wasn't there, I would start Lacey. Like if there was no Rawls or if he was hurt, I would feel confident that Lacey could do well.
They're talking about Procise again too, being out there, man. So.
Yeah. Oh, Procise, yeah. Play him today because he's going to be back, and play him today and play him while you can because he'll probably end up getting hurt. And then people will be scrambling to pick up McKissick. I mean, these Seattle running backs just can't stay healthy. They can't find running room. This is going to be tough sledding. I got to start Russell Wilson today because I was slow to the wire to grab Hundley. and I got Stafford on the bye. So I'm playing Russell Wilson. I feel pretty confident. I think Jimmy Graham has a huge game today. So if you've been waiting for it, it's coming today. Doug Baldwin's going to be shadowed a little bit. This is going to be like a make or break. This is right around the time of the year when Doug Baldwin starts to heat up.
Yep.
A couple more weeks into the season usually, but you got to see something out of him today to really make him worth the wide receiver 1 that you drafted him at, wide receiver 2 at worst. Paul Richardson's kind of fell off since Lockett's been back, but I think both of those two could get deep for 1 or 2 today. I got a lot of questions. I'm going to answer these 2 questions right here, even though we haven't, because we talked about all the games. The first guy asked, should I play Darkwa or Buck Allen? I think I'm going to play Darkwa.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of a hit or miss because Gallman was thought to be the guy, but before that, Darkwa was thought to be the guy. I scooped up Darkwa everywhere I could. Then he came out, was terrible, got hurt. I dumped him everywhere. Then he comes back last week and kills it. Yeah. I played Darkwa today. Darkwa over Buck Allen because the trend is there. The trend is there. Plus, Allen is playing against a tougher defense in Minnesota. Seattle defense is good, but they're not as good as their name says they are.
Correct.
And that's just a fact. Minnesota defense is a lot better, I think, at this point this year than Seattle's defense. And plus, the trend is there. Alex Collins has been doing better than Buck Allen. So they're probably going to keep riding Alex Collins a little bit.
Yeah.
Darkwa did better than Gallman. So they're probably going to ride Darkwa a little bit. Ride that trend. Play Darkwa over Allen, standard, PPR, or even half. Then I got another question, which is Darkwa or Ivory. This one's a tough one. Yeah. I'd probably roll with Ivory.
Yeah.
I would roll with Ivory over Darkwa just because Seattle, although their defense is not as good as they are on paper or they used to be, I think that Seattle focuses on trying to stop the run a little bit more. They saw what happened last week in Denver. They're going to focus on that because they know that Eli only really has Ingram to throw to. Maybe Shepard. Is Shepard going to play? Do you have that update? Yeah, check on that. But either way, they're going to focus on the run. And Ivory is playing on a team that wants to run, and he is 100% their every down back. He showed it last week, catching a ton of passes. So I'm going to ride with Ivory over Darkwa, but I'll ride with Darkwa over Allen. And I hope those guys are watching the video right now because I'm going to shout them out, Daniel Marrero and Frank Maniscalco. Please like our page, guys. Tell your friends.
Nice, yeah. And Shepard is playing, just give you a heads up. So it says
yeah, I thought so. So Shepard, I mean, he was in a walking boot like 5 days ago.
Yeah.
So how effective is he going to be? Ingram, not only did I call the Giants would beat Denver last week, but I also called that Ingram is basically a wide receiver. And you said it. I mean, he looks like one. That's what he is. He's a wide receiver that plays tight end because he's big enough and strong enough. He's like the opposite of Marquez Colston. Remember him back in the day? Yeah. He was a tight end that converted to a wide receiver. It's the same sort of scenario with those guys. So, I mean, you're seeing the same exact thing happen. I think Ingram is a tight end that converts to a wide receiver because they have nobody else. And that's just the way it goes. I'm hoping this game's a high-scoring game, but I really don't know. I'm going to play Russell Wilson because I have to. I love Jimmy Graham. I'm going to play Darkwa over a guy like Allen, like I said. But if I'm playing if I have a chance to play a guy that's going to work the ball every single down, like Ivory, I'm going to play Ivory over him because I know he'll be out there every down. Darkwa could split some time with Gallman. You're playing Ingram. You're playing Shepard if you need a solid wide receiver 3 because they could have to pass the ball a ton, and he could get easily 6, 7, 8 catches.
Gotcha, yeah. King and Lewis not doing anything over there, so Shepard would make the most sense. Yeah. All right, let's go on to the next one, man. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Cincinnati coming off a bye week. AJ Green, I mean, he had a good week the week before the bye week. Andy Dalton looking like himself a little bit again there. Joe Mixon getting some burn. What do you think about them? And Pittsburgh beating KC last week off of a tip pass to AB, and he went crazy on Antonio Brown, running it back from there. But they always play KC so tough, man. So what are you thinking as far as from an offensive standpoint? Le'Veon Bell just kept running the ball and kept running the ball. Is it time for me to trade him?
Pitt always plays KC tough. Pitt quietly has won 4 games in a row. I didn't even realize that until I looked yesterday. I thought they were dead in the water. They've been squeaking out games, though.
Yeah.
Touchdown pass to Antonio Brown. I had blocked it from my memory. You just brought it back, bastard.
Sorry.
That is the number one reason I lost last week. I was up by like 12. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And then all of a sudden I was down by 2. Like, what the heck? So for today, this is interdivision rivalry. Cincinnati has been doing much better since they switched offensive coordinators.
Oh, yeah.
Much better since they stopped messing with Jeremy Hill. I think you're going to see a ton of Joe Mixon today. I think there's going to be a Joe Mixon coming out party.
Nice.
AJ Green, got to have a big game for me, bud. They figured out. You're a Yankee fan. You know that means good thing.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I would have put it that way then.
AJ Green and Joe Mixon. I mean, this new offensive coordinator has figured out that just get my best players the damn ball. So I think they keep that going, especially in this matchup. Tyler Kroft, I'd trust him over a bunch of the tight ends that we talked about today. I think he has a pretty good game.
Mm-hmm. He's the second option over there, man, as far as from them throwing the ball. So.
Oh, yeah, 100%, because Ross can't get on the field. Boyd
he actually might play today, they're saying, though.
But what's he going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
No.
Maybe a roundabout.
You're right. As far as Pittsburgh goes, I think this is the supreme, and I've told a few people this, the supreme squeaky wheel gets the oil. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Martavis Bryant has a day today. That is my lock. I think he gets loose. I think he gets
to be traded, man. Supposedly he wanted to be traded.
Yeah. I think he probably did say that, but then once it got out there, he probably was like, "Let me take it back." But either way, man, it's out there, and somebody said it, and somebody's squeaking, and they're going to give him some grease.
Yep.
The focus for Cincinnati, I believe, Pac-Man's not playing. Pac-Man usually matches up really well with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown hates going against him because he's so physical. That could open up things for Antonio Brown, but it also, in my estimation, means they're going to double cover Antonio Brown as much as possible. I think this is a Martavis Bryant game. I think it's a little bit risky. People are hopping on the Juju train. Last week was a good week. I think this week is a solid week if you need a wide receiver 3, but I think this is going to be Martavis Bryant. I think you're going to see over 100, maybe 120 plus, 2 touchdowns out of Martavis Bryant. It's going to be a classic Martavis Bryant explosion game. We saw it with Amari Cooper. I think you're going to see it with Martavis Bryant today. Wow. So put him in your lineup, especially if you need a wide receiver 3 and you need to hit a home run, maybe because you're playing against Amari Cooper or Tyreek Hill or Derek Carr even. Yeah. I love Martavis Bryant today.
Adam Jones is out, though. Doubtful. So.
Yeah, he's not going to play.
All right, Denver at Los Angeles Chargers. Denver lost to the Giants. They lost Sanders for the week. He's not playing. Thomas looked good, though. Thomas was getting the ball a lot. He was targeted a lot by Simeon. What are you thinking there as far as any running backs, too, in that situation? And the Chargers, I mean, Melvin Gordon is my hope. He is my love. I love that kid. I mean, he is productive. They need to get him the ball more. Look what happens when you give him the ball more. What are you thinking there? And do we see a little Mike Williams here? I don't know. I think he might have some stardom here.
First off, to go back last game, I didn't answer your question. Le'Veon Bell, he'll have a pretty good game, and then it's time to trade him. Yes.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, but I said it last week. Trade Le'Veon Bell because you could get probably a very good running back and a very good wide receiver for him. I would trade him. I'd get rid of him. Pittsburgh is trending up, but why have one player when you can have two? Especially if they're two good ones. Now, on to this game. Yes, Thomas, I think he should have at least 15 targets today, if not 20. Mm-hmm. San Diego is a little bit of Swiss cheese themselves on defense, but they have been playing a lot better as of late. They're one of those bend but don't break type defenses. They give up some yards, but they force you to kick field goals. Mm-hmm. So I like Thomas as a volume play today, a ton actually. C.J. Anderson, what the heck happened, man? I had you as the number one running back of the week last week, and you got like 3 points. Yep. Like what? What happened? Maybe like 6. I don't even know. I didn't have you anywhere. I was actually playing against you somewhere, but I just could not believe how terrible you were. So if I got to run him out there today, I am not feeling happy about it. I think that they will try to get after Simeon as much as possible. Simeon, he is not 100%. He has one receiver to basically throw to. I'm sorry, I'm not a Benny Fowler guy. I'm not buying into him.
I don't think Benny Fowler is a Benny Fowler guy.
I wish Cody Latimer would show up because they spent a high pick on him, first rounder a few years ago, and he just sucks. They're going to try and get after Simeon with Bosa and everybody else. And C.J. Anderson, I don't like him today. I'm going to play him in a league because I have to, but I don't love it. Demaryius Thomas would be about it. And Mike Williams, I think he's going to take over for Tyrell Williams. This could be the week. Yeah. It really could. I mean, Denver's secondary is really good. But here's the thing. Keenan Allen's hurt. Keenan Allen might not play. He hurt his shoulder.
Really?
Yeah, he hurt his shoulder in practice. We all know he's made of glass. Mike Williams could be the play today because if he shines, which will be tough against this Denver secondary, but if he shines, I think he wins the job over Tyrell. Tyrell has been, not good. Travis Benjamin, not good. Dontrell Inman has even played. Actually, if Keenan today, I'd fire him up as wide receiver 3, but it is very high risk because it's only his second game and he's playing the best secondary or one of the best secondaries in the league.
Gotcha. I mean, Shefty says that Keenan Allen will play, but you know what? He is hurt, so does he actually stay on the field is the question. You're right. I like Mike Williams, man. I think that you're right as far as he's going to be at least the number 2, and if Keenan Allen's hurt, this could be the week, man. I think that's going to give Melvin Gordon the ball a lot more, though. So
I love Hunter Henry today. Okay. I love him. I think he does very, very well. I mean, look what the Giants did from the tight end position.
Yeah,
I mean, Hunter Henry, field, man. Tight end, but he's very wide receiver-ish himself. Yeah. I mean, he's bigger than a wide receiver, more of like a Gronk type body, but he's speedy, man, and he's really good. I like him today. He's getting a lot more snaps. Gates is sort of falling out of favor, which means this is the week Gates has 2 touchdowns. It's just the way it goes. Melvin Gordon, I hope he breaks his foot. No, I don't.
Come on.
I always bad anyway. He should have a good game. Yeah. Darkwood just killed it against his team. I'm playing a lot of tough guys.
At least 200 yards from scrimmage.
He had two straight weeks, I think, of 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, are you kidding me?
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
It's gonna be 3, bud.
No. Okay.
All right, let's go on to the Super Bowl rematch, man. Atlanta in New England. I'm going to start with New England. They had a chance of losing to the Jets. The Jets had a great first half. Brady comes back, obviously, with Gronk, his super tight end and all that stuff. The whole entire controversy with that touchdown, not touchdown, touchback stuff. The Jets, if they score there, they kick the field goal. Obviously, things could change. Don't get me wrong. The game's not going to go the same way. But they were in field goal range at the end of the game. That could have been the game that they won.
Yeah.
You know? But as far as from New England, let's, I guess, talk players. Obviously, you're starting Tom Brady. But, Brandon Cooks looked good. He looked good last week. Dion Lewis coming on. I actually just traded for James White. Got me a little nervous, to be honest with you. But James White still should be productive. Atlanta, let's talk about them as far as what you're thinking. Julio Jones, I don't know. He hasn't really been Julio Jones. And what are you thinking as far as the run game? I can see them running the ball a lot.
Yeah, Julio Jones, squeaky wheel. Again, they keep saying they want to get him more involved, especially in the red zone. This is probably the week it happens. I've been telling people all week long as well, this game, yes, there's going to be a ton of points, but this game is going to be so tough to figure out which guy is going to get it. And if they spread it around, is anybody going to really have enough? You look at the Falcons, Hooper's been coming on, granted with Sanu out, but Sanu's not 100%, so I don't feel safe putting him out there. I don't like him anyways.
Hardy seems to be taking that role, man.
Huh?
Hardy seems to be taking that role.
Yeah, but and that's the thing. You got Hardy. Are they going to have some gadget or straight shot plays with Gabriel? And then they got Marvin Hall last week, who I think fades into oblivion this week. Sanu coming back. And then you got Freeman, and you got Coleman. And then you got Julio. I think you're playing the quarterback here, Matt Ryan. He stinks on the road, but you're playing him in this game without a doubt. But the other guys, who are you going to feel 100% safe about, aside from maybe Freeman, obviously Julio, and possibly Coleman? And if you're in the tight end position, the pinch we've been talking about all day, Hooper. This could be spread out all over the place, or you could have one guy that goes off and just gets nuts. And it's the same exact way with the Patriots. It's a really weird game. I guess you could say this about every single game, but I just have a feeling, it's kind of how the Super Bowl was. Everybody sprinkled in a little bit. James White went off, but, Dion Lewis is there, and he's doing better. So you got him, you got Rex Burkhead coming back. James White's not going anywhere. Gillislee, I think if you can trade him this morning, you probably should do it. I think the fumble last week might be the dagger in the coffin. Yeah. All he was getting anyway was goal line touches. So you got to hope and pray for those anyways. And then Dion Lewis showed last week he could punch it in from the goal line, no problem. They gave it to him one play in. Yeah. No sweat. So then you got Gronk. Dwayne Allen's done nothing, but who the heck knows in this game, because there's going to be points all over the place. Then you got Amendola, who's been killing it. Hogan, who's been killing it. Cooks killed it last week. He's been pretty up and down, though. He's been kind of inconsistent. He's had huge games and then close to dud games. So there's just so many players in this game that you have to hope you hit on the one that does the most, because I don't feel safe with anybody. I feel safe with anybody in this game, but I don't think that anybody's going to go 100% bonkers, because I think it's going to be spread all over the place.
Okay. No, I can see that, man. Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. You're right. Defenses wouldn't be something I would start, but unfortunately, I know I have to this week.
I actually think, though, I think the Patriots defense is going to be up for this. They're going to be pumped up to show that they can do what they did in the last quarter and a half. in the Super Bowl. And I think they're going to be pumped up for this. And I also think that the Falcons defense is going to be very pumped up for this.
Yeah.
Both Falcons team.
Yeah, after the Super Bowl, this is the recount. They come back.
It's just going to be a great game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of happy I don't have any major players going on either one of these teams because I just think I don't see anybody going nuts in this game. I see everybody getting involved. I could see 10 solid games coming out of this one.
Gotcha, man.
Quarterbacks, play the quarterbacks.
No, yeah, you got to play. I mean, Tom Brady and Matt Ryan, I agree. I mean, don't get me wrong. Even though last week, again, the tale of two halves, I was talking about Matt Ryan didn't look like Matt Ryan in the second half there, so against Miami.
I think he's focused for this one. I also think that was a bit of a look ahead. I think they were looking ahead.
Oh, with the big lead. Yeah, I can see that. Okay.
And it just bit them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see what happens. You're right. This could be definitely a tough game, but a very interesting one. All right, let's move on to Monday night. Washington at Philly. Philly moving up, man. Wentz is a good quarterback. I mean, he has been solid. Let's talk about, I mean, your man Zach Ertz. He loves Ertz. I mean, Ertz is honestly his best friend. He should be buying that guy's stuff all the time. As far as Washington, Terrell Pryor Sr. not looking very good. Actually, Crowder I've seen on the waiver wire everywhere, so everyone's given up on him. Perine looked all right. I thought he did okay last week. Let's talk about what you're thinking here.
Rob Kelly's going to start, they say.
Okay.
I think he's a better option than Perine.
Okay.
Perine looked okay. He started off pretty good, but his numbers weren't really that good last week. He did all right, but I think you'll see maybe like a 70-30 type split because they do still like Perine. They did draft him for a reason, so they do want to work him in. Tight ends, Jordan Reed going to play, Vernon Davis. Cousins really seems to like him this year, so I mean, if you're in that tight end pinch, I mean, he's a pretty good option. Especially because I believe one of the Philly linebackers are out. I'm not 100%, but I believe so. Terrell Pryor, I don't know, man. He had a good week one, and then I don't know what's happening. They say that Doxson's going to take over the number one. I got a feeling Crowder's going to get something going. He might pull out some Monday Night Magic. So if you're in wide receiver 3 pinch, Crowder could actually be your guy. They want to get him more involved. Why they haven't, I don't know. You got to remember, last week they were blowing out San Francisco. And then after that, they were kind of playing keep away because San Francisco was coming back hard.
Yeah, they were.
So they weren't really putting the ball in the air too much because anytime they did, Cousins was getting picked. So it was like, I wouldn't chalk too much up to that. I think Crowder could be pretty good on Monday night. Okay. As far as the Eagles go, Josh Norman's not going to play. So there goes another big one for you, for Alshon Jeffrey.
I hope so. He hasn't been doing anything.
Carson Wentz, dealing the ball around, the best cornerback out of the game. I don't even know I'm going to watch my fantasy matchup this week against it seems like every single guy I talk about that's going to do good is on your team. Every guy that's going to suck is on mine.
I'm 2-4 though, so figure that out. I don't get it.
Ertz, yeah, he's the number one tight end. Let's just keep it going, buddy. Let's get more than 2 catches. Even though 2 catches was 2 touchdowns last week, let's get more than 2 catches. Aguilar, I talked about how much I love him. He's just coming on strong, man. He's got a fire lit under his belly. I tried Aguilar out there. Alshon with no Norman. Wentz, put him out there. Cousins, put him out. This is going to be a high-scoring, fun Monday night NFC East battle. I'm actually more excited for this game than the Sunday night Atlanta game.
Well, yeah, I can see that, man. I mean, especially the way the Philly's been playing. I mean, they're an exciting team, man. So.
Yeah, I mean, as far as running backs go, LeGarrette Blount's really your only choice. I mean, Smallwood's going to play, but how much are they really going to want to use him and risk injury? Because it doesn't seem like Corey Clement is really up to the challenge as of yet. So, I mean,
Could be a good stash. I still think Clement's a good stash in
Oh
the
yeah,
Dynasty
you
League.
just do something. Put him on a taxi squad.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. That's answers by guess. I mean, unless you have, I know you had a couple questions that you wanted to go over. Did you hit everything?
I pretty much hit them. I mean, the big ones I had, I'll just double check one more time really quickly here because I got about 5 notifications. Got a couple more likes there.
Yeah, keep on liking our page, man. I mean, again, guess right over here. He's giving you all of his insights. So remember, it's educated guesses here as far as what he's thinking.
Yeah, I think we nailed it. Play your guys, hope for the best. If you're in a position where you have to play a running back that's sharing time versus one that isn't, play the one that isn't.
That makes a lot of sense, man. Yeah, the guys, comment, reach out to us. We love questions. Glad to see that we're getting some following going here. So answers by guess.
Go Dodgers.
I'm rooting for you guys. I'm rooting for you guys since my Yankees are out.
All
Go
right.
Dodgers. All right, happy fantasy, everybody.
Yeah.